What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 72 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I am your host, David Soto Jr. Oh my gosh. Today, we're going to talk about guns. Guns. How many of us have them? For every 100 people in the United States, there are 120 guns. So you could round that down and say there's at least a gun for every person in the United States. 1.2 guns. This country is oversaturated with guns. Now, right away, I will admit that I own a few myself. And as liberal and hippie as people want to think that I am a veteran. I am a hunter. I am for self-defense and shooting people if they threaten the life of my family or myself. So I'm not saying that we need to ban any guns, but we could stop making them for a while, or at least make them a little harder to get. Background check or some shit. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just identifying the problem as oversaturation. You have so many guns. You got one in every car. You got one. I mean, if your car, house, or whatever gets robbed, then you are. Then they're getting out in the streets. And it's not that people are, well, maybe some people are being irresponsible, but it's not like we gotta take away people's guns. It's not that any people are doing anything wrong by owning multiple guns or a lot of guns. It's that there's just an oversaturation. There are too many guns in the United States, and therefore it makes it very easy for the bad guys to get them. And that should be evident by the amount of shootings that continue to happen. Now, I'm in St. Louis. St. Louis has more murders than the entire country of Mexico. Now, the reason I bring it up is people like to talk shit about how dangerous Mexico is, especially people here, around here in Missouri. But it's actually just the St. Louis alone. Just the one small city. It's a big city, I guess. I don't know. But just St. Louis alone has more murders a year than the entire country of Mexico. And that was hearsay until I brought it up and somebody wanted to prove me wrong, or they wanted to verify, so they Googled it, and then it turned out to be true. It is a fact. Anyways, so when we get into this whole argument about guns and gun laws and gun restrictions, the common saying or thought is that the good guys, you make it harder for good guys to get guns. Apparently, based on the fact that there are 393 million guns in the United States, the good guys already have guns. If you make it harder for the good guys to get guns, they can use the gun they already own to shoot people with while they're waiting or whatever for their other gun to come in. Doesn't really make sense that you're making it's going to be harder for the good guys to get guns. That's kind of an argument that is not really have any ground to stand on. The other thing, the thing that makes me think about this, the things that makes me scratch my head literally right now, is the fact that what defines a good guy from a bad guy? Committing a crime, being a criminal, having had a record. So if you don't, that may not be true. Is that what people think a good guy is? A person who doesn't have a record? Because all it means is a person who didn't get caught, right? Somebody could still be a thief. Somebody could still be a rapist. Somebody could still be a murderer, but hadn't got caught. And therefore that disqualifies a good guy as somebody who's not a criminal. So we have to look at a good guy as somebody with what? A good moral compass. Somebody who doesn't take advantage or hurt people. That is not a definitive thing. It's not so black and white. So identifying the good guys, it's not going to be that simple. Like, oh, you're a good guy, I will sell you a gun. Also, a good guy with a gun can turn into a bad guy with a gun. Let me try to set my finger. I'm not left-handed. Like that, right? You are a good guy with a gun. You get pissed, road rage or whatever. You lose your mind, temporary insanity, blah, 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 and you shoot somebody. You kill them. You're now a bad guy. But you already had a gun. You were a good guy with a gun can turn into a bad guy with a gun in an instant. You get fed up with your job. You want to go in there and shoot everybody up. You were a good guy. Oh, you're such a good guy. You didn't even, you never knew. It's just that argument just doesn't seem to make sense. A good guy with a gun is only a good guy with a gun because he hasn't done his crime yet. Was Kyle Rittenhouse a good guy with a gun? Did he have a criminal record? I don't think so. Did he have a piece of shit attitude and no moral compass? Probably. This piece of shit Kyle Rittenhouse reminds me of the guy who wants to go in the military and be a soldier and wears camouflage but can't make it through boot camp. If he even makes it that far. The civilian version of this is somebody who wants to be a cop but can't make it as a cop, ends up a security guard. Maybe not even an armed security guard. Right? Kyle Rittenhouse, I can't blame him. He's still a boy, right? He's still young. I did dumb shit just 5 years ago. So being 17 at the time, or being just a boy, you can't really blame him for being, not blame him, but you really can't. I mean, what would you expect? All right. When I was a boy, I wanted to be a football player. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to maybe make the pros. I was far from it, but I had these aspirations. Did it doesn't mean that I was a poser. I don't know. But it gets to a point where you realize, like, oh, that's not going to happen. My point is that being a boy, you can have aspirations, especially when it comes to being in a position of power, like a police officer or like a soldier. But still, he reminds me of that type of person that talks tough, wants to be in a position of power, but when the shit hits the fan, runs. He's a coward. He killed 2 unarmed men. One of them he killed after the fact that he already killed somebody, right? Of course he killed. So who gets in this many gunfights in their life? This guy got in 3 gunfights in one night. It's not even a gunfight because technically nobody else. Oh, the one guy had guns. You know why the one guy took his gun out? Because this guy was fucking murdering people. He killed a person who threw a bag at him. I'm not bullshitting. If you look at it, the man threw a bag at him. And then once he threw that bag, he was completely unarmed. I don't even think this fool had a shirt on, all right? He was running away from him. The guy was chasing him. He turns around and points his gun at him. And he's so afraid of this guy that he can't turn around and shoot him. He wants to shoot him, but he can't turn around and shoot him because there's a chance that the guy might catch him. So he goes and he runs more. Seems like he got around an obstacle, slowed the guy down a little bit. He was able to turn and shoot him. Just unimaginable. After he kills this guy, people see that he's just killed a guy. And they want to stop him from killing anyone else. They chase after him. And one guy seems pretty badass, faces him, tries to stop him with a fucking skateboard. He swings his skateboard at him with, I would imagine, with intent to subdue him and to take his weapon or disarm him because he just killed somebody. This man got into a fight, brought a skateboard to a gunfight, and lost. It appears that he died a hero. I don't know all the facts. I don't want to be naive, but it appears that this man died a hero, trying to stop an active shooter. How do you justify shooting an unarmed man? This is the whole thing we're talking about with cops, right? This is why the whole thing, and we're pissed at cops, rightfully so, for killing specifically unarmed black people, right? We are pissed at them for killing unarmed people. But there's sympathy for Kyle Rittenhouse? He did the same fucking thing. Honestly, if Kyle Rittenhouse was darker, if he was darker, if he was not white, if he killed somebody and then ran away carrying an AR, a rifle, and then people were saying, he just killed a guy, or he just shot someone, he would be fucking dead. Those cops would have shot him. Kyle Rittenhouse got to kill 2 people, injure a third, put numerous people in danger. He's fired multiple rounds. Where did those rounds go? Right? That puts a lot of people in danger. You're in a public place where there is mass amounts of people. You're discharging your weapon randomly just because you perceive one person as a threat. You fire off a few rounds doesn't mean the bullets A are going to stop in that person, B you're going to hit your target. There are multiple people that are peacefully protesting, maybe not peacefully. Who gives a fuck? They don't need to be shot at and killed by a fucking 17-year-old boy. All right? Self-defense. Fucking self-defense against an unarmed person? If you're going to chase after somebody, if you're going to fight somebody that has a gun and you don't have a weapon on you, you are the one that is in self-defense. If someone brandishes a weapon, that's because their intent is to kill you, because that is the only reason why you point a gun at somebody is to kill them. Alec Baldwin, right? Fucking Alec Baldwin killed somebody on accident because he was pointing a gun at somebody. Which common gun, you never point a gun at anybody. Whether it's loaded or unloaded, blanks or not, you never point a gun because it is a killing tool. And the end that kills people is the end of the muzzle, and you point that at people, you're telling them, I'm going to kill you. That is the only reason for a gun, and it's the only reason you pointed at somebody. This isn't fucking Pulp Fiction, where you're going to have a conversation. Well, I put my gun at you, we're going to have a conversation. You point your gun at him, you point my gun. Great, my favorite movie, by the way. But this isn't the movies. Real life, when you point your weapon at somebody, it's because you intend to kill them. And if they perceive that, they are now in danger for their life. They are now in survival mode. They are the ones who are justified. You point your gun at somebody, that person can now lawfully kill you. Because there is no other reason to point a gun at somebody. Brandishing your weapon. When I first learned about open carry, I thought it was kind of cool. And I was in Arizona, and people were walking around with guns on their hips or on their belts or whatever. And then I bought a gun and I was doing that. And I got my concealed carry. But then I learned the word about brandishing, learned the word brandish, and brandishing a weapon. The term means when you take your gun out and point it at somebody or show it off, because you don't take your gun out unless you're going to kill somebody. So when you take your gun out of your holster or your back pocket or whatever, it's because you have that intent. If you don't have that intent, then you're just trying to use it as an intimidation tool. You're trying to use fear. You're trying to show off. All that is illegal, depending on the state, but it is illegal. You don't brandish a weapon. Case in point, if a cop comes up to you, his gun is in his holster. It's not a perceived threat. Here's a guy with a gun, it's in the holster. Now, if a cop approaches you with his gun drawn, different situation. Now you really know that his purpose is to kill you, especially if you make a sudden move. Law enforcement have little different situations, but circumstances, rather. But let's talk about what it means. Let's look back at the Old West, right? The Old West, where everybody had guns. In fact, that's what they refer to. They refer to things that are lawless and no rules, and everybody's got guns, to the Old West. The Old West, most people carried pistols. And sometimes people would be drinking, playing cards, blah, 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 with their guns. When there was a shooting, if there was a witness, the determining factor was that other person's weapon in their holster or not? Or did that other person attempt to take his weapon out of his holster, his gun out of his holster? Because that's how you get away with killing somebody, or that's justifiable. That's what they called a fair fight. Is the person drew his pistol, the other person, or rather started to draw his pistol, which means he has the intent. As soon as you take your gun out or start to take it out, it means the only reason you're taking it out is to kill somebody. When you start to take it out and you're in a fight or an argument with somebody, that person, the other person, is now justified. Now, if he's fast, he will be able to pull his out faster and kill you and be justified. It was a fair fight. You drew first, right? That is why you don't walk around pointing your gun at people with your finger maybe in the trigger well or just outside. That's called brandishing a weapon. Unless you are a soldier in war or maybe a cop, you walk around with your rifle in the low ready position, is because you're ready to kill somebody. And when you get into an argument with me and you're like this, I'm going to take that as a threat for my life. And I am going to try to protect myself. Maybe I'll throw a punch. Maybe I'll try to take you down. Maybe I'll try to take that weapon from you, because all you have to do is raise it up and pull the trigger and kill me, an unarmed man. Like Ahmaud Arbery. I've gone into construction sites before. It's interesting. It's curious. And yeah, maybe you'll find something that's of value. These fools lock their shit up. They know better, right? They don't leave, like, what was Ahmaud Arbery going to steal? A 2x4? construction sites get locked up. In the least, tools are locked in a job box with chains and padlocks, and they're secure. You're gonna make a lot of noise and a lot of racket to try and get something out of a job box. Ahmaud Arbery, as I would imagine, in checking in curiousness, looking at the progress of this house being built. Was he trespassing? Yeah, I guess so. Is it worth him dying? Is that breaking that law worth him dying? In fact, it has to be posted, or he has to be told you're trespassing before it's breaking a law, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, I'm not a lawyer. I don't care. But these three men see a black guy, want to make a citizen's arrest. None of your fucking business. They want to make a citizen's arrest. So they approach him with guns. He gets scared and is trying to run away. Whether he was out for a jog or not, I don't know. But who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. Three men approach you in vehicles, brandishing weapons, and you're trying to run. And so they trap you in. One gets out of his truck with a gun. Who's defending themselves now? Who is the person in fear of their lives? The man with the gun or the man without any gun who has been chased? And who knows what words were said to him. And he's trying to get away. Do you see how Ahmaud was dressed? What was he stealing? He didn't have anything. Unarmed. And he gets in a position where he has to fight for his life because a man is approaching him with a fucking gun. A shotgun. And he's now defending himself. As any person would do. If a man comes up to you with a gun, what are you going to do? A, run, or B, fight this person so that he doesn't kill you. That's what Ahmaud Arbery was doing. And maybe he was getting the upper hand. Maybe he threw a few blows and this cocksucker was scared that the fight that he's losing, the fight he started. And he pulls the trigger. It was a semi-automatic shotgun, pulls the trigger a couple times, kills this guy. He approached him with a gun, and then he's in fear for his life? We got two situations where men with guns went into situations none of their fucking business, got scared, and pulled triggers, killing people. That's not self-defense, homie. That's not self-defense. Guns. How many of us have them? That's a Houdini song with his friends. But for some reason, this whole guns. I'm out of coffee. I'm done talking. I'm going to upload this. I appreciate you tuning in. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at David E. Soto Jr. JR for Jr. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much.